Hello, hello, good morning out there in streaming world. I am Manila Chan. That over there is not Ted Rall. That's producer Robbie filling in for the holidaying Ted Rall. You are tuned in
I-
to
I'm
the
actually
TMI
I'm actually a
show.
trans host. I've decided I'm going to identify as Ted Rall
Oh,
today.
that's well,
So
it's 2025. You can
it is.
identify whatever as you can identify as a host, you can identify as Ted Rall. So Ted
Yep.
2.0 over there. No, you're Bizarro Ted. What are you talking about, Robbie? You're Bizarro. You're like the opposite of Ted on so many topics. You
Yeah.
can't be Ted. You can't be Ted unless you like subsume how Ted is.
I'm
But
right, Ted.
yes,
Right, Ted. See what I
you're
did there?
right side Ted. Remember right side Fred? Are you familiar with that? That's
I am
Right
not.
Side Fred. The God, the song I'm too sexy. I'm too sexy for my whatever. It was like from the 90s. You don't know this? I thought this was like a universal thing across America and Europe.
I grew up in the South. One singer was Johnny Cash, the other one wasn't. So
All right. All right. So for all the other regular humans and space travelers out there, we all know Right Said Fred. I'm just going to put that out there. It was like a 90s thing. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, TMI show for short. Um, we're going to try to keep the show actually short-ish this week in lieu of Ted not being here, and Robbie has other commitments that pay much better than Ted and I do. So,
yeah, I'm actually doing them
oh,
right now. That's why I'm looking over on the side. I'm actually doing the day job while I am hosting and producing. So multitasking. I'm also
you
streaming
you are
on my own channel. So I'm just doing all the things.
you are good at that. Um, We are live, of course, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So please be sure to like and follow the show wherever you're consuming this content. We have booked our first Rumble Premium guest. Should we tell them, Robbie, or should we just
No,
announce
I
it
wouldn't.
later?
No, I wouldn't tell him. That's gonna be Mark Sabota, and the email that I sent him is just like we're gonna be on Rumble, so you can be completely unfiltered. Say what you will, and I'm looking forward to that.
Right. Because we're not going to be, censored by the alphabets. And I don't mean the rainbow flag alphabets. I'm talking about Alphabet, the owner of Google and YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't care about the alphabet people. I care about the alphabet people. Those are the ones that are the tech overlords that will not like what Mark Sloboda has to say.
No, no, they demonetized him over on YouTube for thought
Yeah,
crimes. So there's that.
I know. They went after Mark. They went after my personal channel. I know. We're just, I get it. We're not allowed to say certain things on that platform. So
Yeah, like the truth.
this will be a Rumble exclusive. So if you guys want to see Mark and the other people that we're lining up a few times a month, I think it's like 5 or 6 that we have to do. Is that right?
Well, we just have a total of 5 hours. So
Oh,
I mean, that's
okay.
really all it is. Once we hit that 5 hour premium stream mark, we're golden. We can just do normal
For all
formatting.
Mark might go on for 4 hours.
The
Don't
dude
know.
likes to talk.
Mark's got a lot to say. So
He
if
does.
you want to see that, pull the curtain back on what Mark has to say, you have to become a Rumble Premium subscriber. We will air some of it on our regular free streaming show, but as part of the deal for the Rumble stuff, we have to keep it primarily for the premium content only. So that is part of the deal. So that's how you become a paid member of this family. You either if you're watching right now on Rumble, you go and click that Rumble Premium button that's right below our talking head boxes here. It's in bright red.
Yep.
Click on that. You can join, and then you can watch every show that is a Rumble exclusive show without any commercials. So that's pretty cool. Everyone's favorites, like Kim Iverson or Glenn Greenwald or whatever. Maybe
not
Steven
Tim.
Crowder.
Yeah, not Tim Polo. Screw that guy. So
Yeah.
I'm Team Kim.
Oh, I'm Team Kim for sure. I mean, she's my friend. So I like Kim. Anyway, let's begin the show and get into the headlines so we can keep this within the hour because there are new guidelines, new sheriffs in town. So we got to do that. Yeah. We got to get better at that. All right, here we go. All right. So first things first, Robbie, in case people didn't notice the thumbnail.
Yeah. The governor's in town.
Robbie went ahead and made an inflammatory thumbnail regarding Mark Carney, the newly minted Prime Minister of
Governor
Canada, which Robbie refers to as governor of our 51st state, which will become the biggest state in the union, I suppose. He's in town. He flew in last night. He arrived not far from me at Andrews Air Force Base. And I think something important to point out, Robbie, is that Trump didn't greet him there. No respect.
No.
Trump, no high-ranking officials went there. Literally, like nobody. The office aides went to greet Mark Carney at Andrews Air Force Base. So I think that already says a whole lot, sending a message to Mark Carney the moment he steps off the plane. So, you know, I don't know how today's meeting is going to go, but here's what the AP says about it. AP says, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, won the job with a promise to confront increased aggression shown by President Donald Trump, and he'll have the opportunity to do that at a face-to-face Oval Office meeting on Tuesday. Trump has shattered a decades-old alliance by saying he wants to make Canada the 51st state and levying steep tariffs against an essential partner in the manufacturing of autos and the supply of oil, electricity, and other goods. The outrage provoked by Trump enabled Carney's Liberal Party to score a stunning comeback victory last month, as the ongoing trade war and attacks on Canadian sovereignty have outraged voters. Now, we talked about that. I posited Trump thought, you know, that Trump shot himself. No, Ted thought that Trump shot himself in the foot by doing this. I posited that maybe this was Trump's tactic. His strategy all along was to piss off the Canadians enough that they would vote Mark Carney in, because he would have, you know, an easier go at Carney. I don't know. We'll see.
Just because he's able to get up under his skin, you think? Just able to try and troll him and piss him off? Make him more emotional?
Mark Carney?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I feel like Trump was secretly trying to get Carney on board.
Well, I mean, he's more of a beta than Zelensky, and that's saying something. Just putting that out there.
That's what I'm saying. So I think, I don't know, maybe there was a strategy to that. Ted thought the opposite. I think that might have been his plan all along. Now, the Republican president has repeatedly threatened that he intends to make Canada the 51st state. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press that aired Sunday, that the border, he said that how's this written, AP? He said in an interview with NBC's Meet the Press that aired Sunday that the border is an artificial line that prevents the two territories from forming a beautiful country.
Well, then isn't that the same for Mexico then? Like, could we just we could annex Mexico, then deport the Mexicans.
No. I
mean, wouldn't that work?
But then you couldn't deport the Mexicans. Then we'd absorb them and they'd become Americans. And let me tell you, I would much rather have the Mexican beaches than the cold ski slopes in Canada. So love the Mexican beaches.
Listen, no, Manila, you're too much of a chicken to come here to Montana to visit. No. So until you come up here, you can just give that opinion yourself.
No, and no. So this is okay. I think more people are going to agree with me.
I broke her.
Oh, that's a lot of plane sounds here.
The Prime Minister arrived to little fanfare.
Okay, so let's hear the actual Canadians. Now that we're dissing on them, not me, mostly Robbie. Robbie's dissing on them. Let's hear from the Canadian media. Okay, Robbie? Let's hear from our nice Canuck neighbors and how they're reporting on this story. They were there at Andrews Air Force Base because this is their prime minister. So they wanted to obviously capture the moment when he arrived. So let's listen to it and talk about it on the other side.
The Prime Minister arrived to little fanfare ahead of the down-to-business, high-stakes meeting. It's a visit that could define the Canada-U.S. relationship for years to come. The U.S. president seeming nonchalant about it.
He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal.
All right, welcome back, everybody.
While on U.S. cable news, Donald Trump's allies hurled insults and lowered expectations.
They have their socialist regime, and it's basically feeding off of America. I mean, the president calls that out all the time. It's going to be a fascinating meeting tomorrow. I just don't see how it works out so perfectly.
But you're not going to.
Carney is hoping to reset the Canada-U.S. relationship at a historic low amid Trump's trade war and annexation threats.
It's really going to be an effort on the part of the Prime Minister to lower the temperature, of course, and to try to get back to more meaningful, substantive discussions.
Dominic LeBlanc is also on this trip, along with Melanie Joly and David McGuinty, cabinet ministers who've worked with the Trump team before.
I don't expect any specific deals tomorrow, certainly not a tariff removal deal tomorrow. I see tomorrow as the beginning of a new process.
Brian Clow led Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Canada-U.S. relations team, and he's hoping there will be a respectful dialogue.
To a certain extent, it's out of Canada's hands about what may happen there. It depends on what version of Donald Trump shows up tomorrow.
But any world leader coming into the Oval Office has to plan for a worst-case scenario.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
After Trump berated an ally in public, the reality is anything could happen.
You need to stand up for your country and yourself. You need to correct facts when misstatements are made. But at the same time, my advice would be give the president some room to do what he clearly likes to do, which is perform in front of the media and pick your battles.
Trump repeated his annexation threats as recently as this past weekend, and he even joked in the White House that Canada doesn't like him too much. There's no guessing what he'll say in the Carney meeting, but a win for Canadian officials would be a respectful tone.
So that's Katie Simpson with the CBC. She's based here in Washington, D.C. She said you hear that last line she said. She said the Canadians would consider a win simply if Trump talked to Mark Carney in a respectful tone.
Which won't happen. I mean, let's be honest.
That's a low bar. Seriously, Robbie.
I mean, he's not Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, Trump's not going to scoot his chair in for him. All right. No, Trump knows. Trump knows a bitch whenever he sees one because he's a bitch himself to Bibi. So he's not going to push the governor's chair in for him the way he does Bibi Netanyahu. This is not going to happen. All right.
Well, first of all, isn't everybody somebody's bitch somewhere, left or right, top or bottom? Everybody is somebody's bitch somewhere. Somebody's the boss. Somebody's your boss. Somebody's going to be your underling. And in this case, the pecking order is obviously not Mark Carney. And we've seen historically how Donald Trump treated Justin Trudeau the first go around. Remember, he shoved him out of the way to get in the front for pictures for picture day. I don't think that's going to be any different, except that, Mark Carney has more experience, I would say, than Justin Trudeau. Obviously, he's an older guy. He's was the governor of the Bank of England and stuff like that. So he's a banker, and maybe he'll talk Trump's language. Obviously, I think he's here for a new USMCA. Let's point out that NAFTA was killed by Donald Trump, which I think won a lot of points for Donald Trump with the labor unions, right? Mm-hmm. But then he came back out with his own USMCA, which is effectively a new NAFTA, slightly tweaked, not a whole lot changed. But now he's like killing his own NAFTA from term one, and I guess he wants, USMCA, and try to start a second USMCA. And then Trump already is talking smack on Canada. I mean, just yesterday at that presser we saw, Trump was disparaging Canada's military.
Well, it is a joke. If you're going to disparage something about Canada, I mean, their military, the Montana militia is more powerful than the Canadian military. As speaking for someone who actually lives here.
I
So
don't know
it
how
is a joke.
actually true that is. Is it true?
Oh yeah. I mean, we don't have airplanes, but the National Guard does. I'm talking about the militias here, not the National Guard,
I mean,
not the militias.
Okay, but Canada's official military, you think is weaker than Montana's militias?
Oh God, yes. God, yes. I
Less
mean,
firepower.
well, it's not so much the firepower. It's the attitudes. I mean, whenever they come down, there's no fight in them people, like none at all. I mean,
Well-
no. I mean, you're talking. No, you hear about the soy boys, right? They come in, have the little man buns.
Sure.
In the summertime, we know who the tourists are. For
Oh.
one thing, Montana demographically is very much like the United States used to be back in the 1950s. Canada has a much more diverse population, so tourist season
Oh.
comes. You're able to see, but then
Oh, I
though, whenever the white Canadians come in, they have little flip flops on. They have their little beanie bags on their waist, and they have their hair up in buns, and they have got no fire in them at all. I mean, none. It ain't there. It's
Well,
just-
that's why they're our friendly neighbor to the north, Robbie. So what Trump was disparaging about them was basically saying like they weren't who they were when they were with us on the beaches of Normandy in World War II. And then he went on to say, this is a quote from the AP. It says, "They pay NATO less than any nation. They think we are subsidizing. They think we are going to protect them. And really, we are. But the truth is, they don't carry their full share. And it's unfair to the United States and our taxpayers." So, I mean, Trump's got a point. Remember when he said that about Germany when Angela Merkel was still in office? And lo and behold, he threatened to pull out, and Angela Merkel, lo and behold, stepped up Germany's 2%, membership fee for NATO, because that's what it is, right? 2% of your GDP. And it worked because at that point, I remember covering this as part of my beat, covering foreign policy. And Angela Merkel, I think at that time, Germany was shelling out like 1.3% ish or something like that, just over half of what they were supposed to be paying, what I call their membership dues into NATO, which is 2% of your GDP. So what Canada is paying, Trump is saying it's the least of all the countries. I haven't had time to look up that actual amount, which I can probably do here in a second, but he also believes, because they are our neighbors, that the Canadians expect us, if anything God forbid anything happened to them, that the United States big brother is going to step in and punch the bad guy.
Well, I mean, in a way I can see it. I mean, if there's any nation on this earth that could truly be a peaceable kingdom, more so than any other, it's Canada. You got these two big oceans between you. You have the superpower right there on your southern border. All you got to do is play nice. No one's going to screw with you because of the Monroe Doctrine. No one's going to screw with you. All you have to do is get on your knees, pay your tribute to Uncle Sam. Say, "Uncle Sam, you're the best. You're the greatest. We appreciate you. How can I help you today?" And then America will protect you. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So I understand why the Canadians are able to walk around without having a spine. I get it. They don't need one. I mean, you can be a slug. Well, I'm being honest. But and I'll tell you, it's personal because I open carry. It's Montana.
It's Montana.
No, we got more
You do
guns
that in
than people.
Virginia too.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like the other day, I went to the restaurant with my son, and we're going to pick up some dinner. And this Canadian, she looked at me and said, "Oh, why are you carrying a gun? Is that legal here? Do you feel threatened?" And I looked at her and was like, "No, ma'am, just a cop is too heavy." And I mean, they are the snobbiest, most asshole people that I've ever met. They're
You can't
snobs.
say that about all Canadians. That's not necessarily.
I talk about the tourists that come down here. I ain't talking about all
I don't
of
know.
them. No, listen. There are a lot of Canadian rednecks up there who get along just great with me. They hate that.
I have plenty of Canadian friends, and I like them very much.
Like the rednecks in Alberta, they love nothing more than become northern Montana. I'm telling you right now, they would love it.
Well,
I'm talking about the California type Canadians. who have got
but
more
that's
money than
because
God.
Robbie just hates all Californians except me, apparently. So,
Well, I like you. You're good people. And Scott Stannis. You two can no y'all.
native
I
Californians.
have revoked your California card. Y'all are all right.
We're born and raised in California. We're Californians. So the other thing is, here's the
Not
other
anymore.
point, though. Here's the other thing. With Mark Carney's background in banking, this is an important trip. So I don't know how Mark Carney's going to play this. We already know what Trump is going to play this like. So Canada, here's some numbers for you. Canada is the top export destination for 36 of the U.S. states. So check this out. $2.7 billion worth of U.S. goods and or services, you can account for them that way, but roughly $2.5 billion worth of U.S. goods cross that northern border every single day, daily. I mean, that is mind-blowing. 60% of U.S. crude imports come from Canada.
Yeah.
Go figure. And 85% of the electricity that the United States imports, 85% of it comes from Canada. So Canada is our supplier for a lot of things, crude oil as well as electricity. Mark Carney, if he so chose, he could really hit back in a way that could really harm Americans and put Donald Trump in his place. Now, it would be a deadly game of chicken because I think Donald Trump would be the guy to not blink. If you're driving your car, like driving cars head on to each other, first person to blink swerves. I don't think Trump is the one that swerves. He will take this whole country down in flames before he blinks. So I think this is a dangerous game for Carney to play, but technically he has some cards that he can play. I just don't think he has the guts to do it.
No, it's hard to say. And I've just looked at the YouTube chat, like El Mission. No, honestly, I don't hate Canadians. I actually like them. It's the snobby people who I don't like. They're the ones who just come in and act like their crap don't stink and that they pee red wine. Those are the people that I don't like. In the summertime, it's mostly Canadians. So yeah, I am kind of dissing on the country just a little bit. And I probably should apologize for the 70% of the Canadians that do have a spine. I just don't ever see them. So there's that. But no, Canada could inflict some major pain on. They could turn off New England.
Yes.
I mean, they could shut it off. Now, it would be for like maybe a day before the United States military paid them a visit, but something they could do. I mean, I think that would, it's kind of what I just said before. Canada is in a unique position because of its geography and because of the natural resources it has. All they have to do is play nice, and the United States will protect Canada because we need them. We don't need Mexico. We do need Canada.
Well, the amount of U.S. businesses that employ regular Americans, working class Americans, that do this trade between the North, and us, a lot of people are going to be impacted. I mean, this is like Trump Tariff Tuesday. I think that's today's theme, because this is all like most of the stories I picked out for today are either southern border or northern border, one thing or another. And
my favorite topics.
I know, but basically, I mean, you can't be America first by putting, if we're his family, if we're his kids, you can't hang us out to dry and say you're protecting us, because I feel like that's what's happening. So,
well, that's great power politics. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that is international politics. If it's like Russia with Ukraine, right? If God puts you next to a nation that is larger in population,
more powerful,
and more powerful, then you don't have to do what that country says. But if you don't, there's a solid chance that you will get the backhand of justice, and that is what would happen to Canada. They know it. Now the one thing I will give the Canadians, they have defeated the United States not once but twice when the U.S. invaded them in the past. So
we invaded Canada
twiis, yes, in
the
Revolutionary
part of
in the Revolutionary War, then again the War of 1812. Yeah, and both times the Canadians sent the American Army running. So again, but those are not the latte drinking man bun types. Those are the ones who like guns. Yes.
Yeah, that's not the Canada of today. So All right, let's move to our southern border. This is Robbie's favorite topic.
I'll be good.
As you can
I'll be
see,
good.
yes, I'm just going to go ahead and play this ABC local news. I don't know where this particular ABC is, but they did a really good job explaining this next story. So Robbie and I will talk about it on the other side. So have a listen.
And cash and a flight home to undocumented migrants willing to self-deport.
Local 10's D.C. reporter Ross Ketchke is live in Washington, D.C., where senior administration officials say this is a safer and cheaper option. Ross.
Yeah, you guys, you may have seen over the last few weeks some of those commercials on TV encouraging undocumented migrants to self-deport back to their home nations. This is an extension of that push from the Trump administration, and it's all being run off the Customs and Border Patrol mobile app.
I think people are finally getting the message. If you leave on your own, you can take advantage of legal programs, come back.
The Trump administration trying to convince more undocumented migrants to self-deport. Those using the Customs and Border Patrol app will now be eligible to have their travel costs covered and receive a $1,000 stipend after arriving in their home country. The Department of Homeland Security says this will be a safer and much less expensive process for deporting migrants. It comes after ICE and other federal agencies have swept through cities across the country since President Trump took office. According to federal data, the average cost to arrest, detain, and expel one person is more than $17,000. Trump administration officials say the new program will save taxpayers around 70%. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem calling self-deportation the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest. President Trump says migrants who sign up to self-deport will also be deprioritized for arrest and will remain eligible to re-enter the country legally.
It will give them a path to becoming, to coming back into the country. If they miss that limit, they're going to be taken out of our country, and they will never get a path.
Secretary Noem is set to testify on Capitol Hill tomorrow in front of lawmakers, where she'll likely face questions about the cost of the Trump administration's deportation efforts over these last few months. Live in
All right, Robbie. So you heard it there.
Yep.
And audience, you heard it. The Homeland Security folks are saying if you use their CBP One app, that was the app that was created by Joe Biden's administration when they changed the rules. You remember that, Robbie? You fought with Ted on this.
Yep.
About when Biden did that, it suddenly made everybody here documented. As long as they had the app and they put in their information, suddenly they're technically illegal, but technically temporarily
No, they're
legal.
still illegal. Presidents don't make laws. They're illegal. Just because a president looks the other way does not make it any less illegal. They should not be here.
That was the argument that the Biden administration made, that this gave them temporary protected status. When Trump came to power, he reversed that, and then he turned the CBP app, the CBP One app, basically into like a tracking device.
Well, I mean, no, here's the thing, and I get the whole due process argument. I get it. I understand it. However, and I'm not a Trumper. For those of you on YouTube who don't know me, it's going to come as a little bit of a shock. Yes, I'm a right winger, but I hate Trump probably more than you do because he's betrayed America first. Whenever you have an administration, and we've had many do this, that look the other way and ignore American law, which happens all the time, then you don't get to cherry pick. Then you don't get to cherry pick whenever the president that you don't like ignores the courts, because old W did it, Obama did it. Hell, I mean, Obama was blowing up American citizens without due process. Where were your crocodile ears then? Where were you? Where were you at with red flag laws? And this whole thing with Trump trying to bribe illegals, you don't bribe them. You cut off remittances, you starve the bastards, and they will leave. They will go home on their own. They got here on their own. They can leave on their own.
So it sounds like you're against this $1,000 idea. So look,
yes.
the Trump administration is turning this app not only into like a tracking device to find people, but secondly, they're also saying if you use this app and you click the self-deport button, we will pay for your plane ticket. We will give you $1,000 when you land at your destination, and we won't hold it against you. No harm, no foul that you came to this country illegally. We will find you a way to apply for a path to come here legally, fully documented as per the law. I personally think it's funny to think that the people would go back to using the CBP1 app, number one, but it's a novel idea. I think it's a more humane idea. And if you're looking for a way to save money and per Doge's, claims that they want to do for the US taxpayer is save our money. Well, if it costs us 17 plus, let's say $17,000 to $20,000 to go track down one single migrant, to detain them, to do whatever, $20,000 per head. Just do the math, Robbie. We're talking $1,000 and a couple $100 for a plane ticket. Let's say $1,500 total per head versus $17,000 per head. This should make Doge happy. And then if it'll provide these people a proper path forward to come back here legally.
Okay, here's a question for you. Here's a question for you.
Novel start.
No, this is complete bullshit. I'm 100% opposed to this. And let me make my argument. First of all, the plane that fell off the aircraft carrier last week in the Red Sea,
yes,
costs enough to deport every migrant that's here like 4 times over. So let's stop pretending like that this is a cost-cutting measure. It's not. It's crap. Second, remember, I'm America first. I'm not Republican. I'm not conservative. There's nothing here to conserve. I'm going to blow it up, start over. That's my default position. You grew up as a poor kid in the inner city of LA. I grew up dirt floor poor in South Alabama and North Florida. I propose, instead of giving these bastards $1,000 and a plane ticket to send them back where they came from, then what you do is that you give those dollars to the school districts, to the schools who, I don't know, maybe have lead paint falling off the walls, or they have substandard plumbing, or they can't get books or computers. You actually invest that money into America's infrastructure, into education, into this thing called America First. That's an argument that I can make. No, you don't reward bad behavior by giving the bastard a stick. You say you will leave. You got here on your own 2 feet. You can get the hell out the same way. They get nothing.
But here's the thing: they're not going to self-deport, Robbie. They're not. So there is no other option other than having these horrible ICE agents going and tracking people down. That's going to cost tens of thousands per head.
I will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that happen. Send a message. You come here. America is not a freaking resort. We are a country. We are a country of laws. You come here, you will pay a price for it.
But the point is, the existing people that are here,
if
the goal is to remove them,
yes.
Yeah, you just said deport them. That costs $17,000 a person.
Not if they go on their own.
But they're not going to go on their own. That's the point. And that's why they're trying to incentivize them.
Okay, so a question for you,
with
Manila.
$1,000.
So a lot of these migrants that come here, here's what I hear. Oh, they're here working to make a better life for their future. Okay, but maybe that's true. I don't know. Let's just assume. I will take you at your word that these are great people and that they're just here trying to make a living. Great. Then the people who are hiring them, you put them in jail. You put them in Guantanamo Bay. You remove the incentive. Either you follow the law or you don't.
That's correct. There is responsibility on the side of the employers who obviously they are personally incentivized to, one, hire undocumented migrants, right? Because it's cheap labor and they can kind of treat them however the hell they want. Two, it serves as keeping the fair pay really, really suppressed.
Of course.
For the average American worker. So if the average American worker goes into this, job at a like a food processing plant, let's say it's Tyson or whatever in Texas, right?
Yep.
The price, your wages are depressed because there are so many migrants willing to do that job under the table for hella cheaper than you are willing to do it as an American. So obviously the employers bear responsibility for why there's so much demand for migrants to be here in the first place. But the argument isn't why they're here in the first place. The argument is they're here. The people that are already here, what do you do with them?
You deport
this argument.
them.
Hold on. This argument is not about don't get knocked up. Here's how not to have a baby. Here's some birth control. That's beside the point. The baby is in the belly. It is here. And now it's not even the belly in the belly. The baby has been delivered. It is here. What do you do with it?
You put in a catapult. You put in a catapult, send it back where it came from. This is easy. Manila, this is
not
basic.
Crawl its way back into the vagina. They are here.
This is basic. This is easy.
How
this
do
is
you
basic.
get them out of here? That's my question.
Okay, I'll say it again.
That's what the CBP app is trying to do now, is trying to say, here's $1,000, go home, and we will help you come back here through the proper channels. I think that's the most humane way, rather than having $20,000 per head to have ICE go hunting people down in their apartments.
First of all, we don't need them back. We have plenty of people already in this country who are not working because
that's on them. If they want to come back, that's on them.
Okay. Again, I'll speak slowly. I'll talk slower than normal. I am fundamentally opposed against giving anyone a monetary incentive for breaking the law. If you come here and that's breaking the law illegally, I'm 100% opposed to giving that person any type whatsoever of any kind of financial reward. No, you don't do it.
How do you get them out of here? They're here already.
Okay. I'll say it again. You cut off remittances. You come here. If you come here to this country illegally, if you have to go through the emergency room,
how do you know that money is being sent to Honduras from an illegal?
Okay, so whenever you go to Western Union or something, what do you have to give them to send you money? That's how. What you do is that you end those remittances, those payments to foreign countries. You cut it off. Either we have got the whole Real ID thing coming on. It's happening. I don't like it, but it's here. Let's use it. If I have to use Real ID to go on an airplane to go and visit you, then why should I not have to show some kind of ID to send money to a foreign country? Because after all, I could be funding a terrorist. I mean, I won't play this whole game with them. I have no problem with it. No, you end remittances. That's step number one. Step number two, if someone goes to an emergency room, you get checked in. Mr. Varga, no. Are you an American citizen? No, great. Okay, while you're here, we'll get you treated.
There are laws behind that. You can't ask for citizenship at the hospital. You cannot. Everybody gets help. That's
I have no problem getting help. But then what you do is that chip a nice little ICE checkpoint right there in the parking lot, and when they come out, because you're not in the emergency room, it's okay. Let's go ahead and check you out here. Let's see, because we've got nothing for you. No, Manila, I am tired of coddling these people. I am tired of playing this game with immigration. Our government has been saying that they're going to close the borders since before you and me were even born. And it never freaking happens. Before I moved here to Montana, true story. When my little boy was born, the job I was working at closed. I was working on a peanut farm for 2 years, picking peanuts and cotton.
Like Jimmy Carter.
And I lost that job to illegal migrants because they're willing to work for $1 a day. And when I lost that job, I couldn't buy diapers for my son. That's how I ended up here in Montana. For me, this is personal. This immigration crap, it does not impact writers or reporters. It does not impact the upper crust of American society. It impacts the working class of this country. It impacts people who have to go out, bust ass, root hog, and die every single day just to put food on the table. If you want to have people start having babies, you got to start raising wages. You can't raise wages as long as you're importing the entire fucking third world. It cannot happen. It has to end. You are America first or you're not. I'm unapologetically America first. You close the borders, you deal with the problem, and the government, I hate to tell you, government is force, government is fire. If they won't leave on their own, give them the backhand. I do not care. Get them out.
And just to be clear, that's on the illegals. We're not talking about the illegals. We're not talking about like the student protesters at Harvard.
I'm talking about illegal immigrants. If you're here legally,
these people right here marching towards the U.S. border.
Correct. If you're here legally, I have no problem with you. You follow the rules. You come here. You follow the law to come here. Welcome, brother. Welcome, sister. I'm talking about if you swim across the river, you can swim your ass right on back. You can get wet twice. I do not care. Goodbye.
Look, I agree. I mean,
Are there
looking at
any
these
questions about where I stand?
throngs-
Chat. Do you have any questions about where I
throngs
stand
of
on this
people.
topic?
Stop trying to fight the people in the chat. The
I'll
throngs
fight
of
them all.
people, the throngs of people coming through like this, of course, are
It's an invasion.
that
not
that
what it
becomes
is.
an invasion. It is when you have, I mean, you look here at the very front. This is an organized movement. These are organized people. Look at this. This guy has a bullhorn. They have safety vests. There are people there. This is a whole industry. If a lot of people don't understand what we're referring to here, this is a whole industry, Robbie. There are people along the way from Central America all the way through Mexico that are known footpaths, and they have businesses set up. They have not only the coyotes that are bringing the people. I'm talking about straight up businesses that'll sell you like food. That'll like they have like
on trains,
vendors.
Manila. They load them up on trains and drive them through Mexico.
Yeah,
I mean,
there are like people that'll give you like it's like Uber, but for people that can't walk all the way up from Central America. So this is like a whole industry. So no one can say that this isn't a coordinated effort. I'm not saying it's a state level coordination, but there is a level of coordination here. To deny that would be denying reality. But I'm not also on board with what Trump is saying as if this is like the Venezuelans are, like Nicolas Maduro is sending these people over here. Nicolas Maduro is not sending these people here. The people are coming here. But I mean, they're coming here because our foreign policy completely turned over whatever country they're from, completely fucked it up with our foreign policy, our interventions, our market manipulations, currency manipulations, and all of that. For the last 30 years, these people are screwed. So, there's a main driver as to why they're doing this. But then when they leave their country along the way, there are coordinated groups that will support them to help all these people subvert American laws. So, I don't know if there's a fix to that at this point.
Well, there is a fix to it. You put the army on the border. There is a fix to it.
Well, they are doing that.
No, you put the army on the border with rifles and you say, you come across, we will send you to meet Jesus. I mean, that is how you end this. And I realize I'm coming across sounding harsh. I get it. I understand. However,
well, other countries do that. The Ukrainians do that. They don't even let you leave.
It's because I mean,
wait, you can't ask.
If you don't have a border, you don't have a country, and you can't. If you have a welfare state, you cannot have open borders at the same time. Because the more historical facts for you, most of the immigrants. So I love hearing this. We're a nation of immigrants. Okay, fine. Most immigrants that came to the United States in the 1800s, they went back home because they couldn't they couldn't make it here.
They?
Most migrants, most immigrants from Europe went back home because it is very difficult to uproot. And if you're not willing to assimilate, if you can't learn a language and become, in this case, an American, you're going to have a very difficult time making a living. Most immigrants went back to Europe. This is a statistical fact. Google it. Fact check me. Fact check me in real time. Well, it happened. Whenever you have welfare states, you don't have to assimilate.
Biden giving away the debit cards. Yeah.
I mean, you can go, you just have your own, just like what happened in Ohio. I mean, why do you have 12,000 Haitians living in one town taking the place over? I mean, it is either you're a country or you're not. I'm America first. My family's been here since the 1600s. I don't have another passport. I have nowhere else to go. My 2 kids are Americans. I want to leave them a better country to grow up in than the one in which I grew up in. That's what I want.
Which we had. And
you can't do that if you're balkanizing the country and you're destroying the working class because you keep importing people. Like Trump. He's talking about we're going to bring all these factories back. Great.
Right.
But what you're not hearing, though, is that Apple and these other companies, they don't want to hire Americans. They want to hire immigrants with H-1B visas to come and do the work for 60 cents on the dollar. Sorry, that's not America first either. So it's two sides to the coin. There is. It means America first, not everybody else instead. Manila, you're a parent. I'm a parent. if I cared more about my neighbor's kid than I cared about my own, then what I'm telling my kids is that I don't love you. And that's what our government is telling the American people every single day. I don't love you. Not only do I not love you, I hate you.
That
And
part
so
I think we can all agree with.
And so that's why I'm so hardcore on this issue. As long as they can import cheap labor and cheap votes, nothing's ever going to change. That's something that the right and the left should be able to wise up on and agree, and it starts with the border.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of populists on both sides of this argument that can actually support you on that, because simply because of the whole living wage argument. That in and of itself is an issue that's on the far left and an issue that's important to the far right. And that's the overlap. And, I don't know what else for them to do that I would consider humane outside of this. I was shocked that they came up with this. But anyway, we got to move on to another story. But
we have an ad. Do you want me to read it real quick?
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. Here's a word from our sponsor. Just one moment here. Thank you, Rumble. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. You're getting the dark, bold roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check, and smooth medium roast. The Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focused, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free, and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is only for the ones who've been watching 1775 Below up on Rumble. Wonder if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. And full disclosure, I've had 1775 coffee. It's good stuff.
Hopefully it doesn't get hit with Trump tariffs.
Well, I'm sure it will, because they import it from Belize. Because they import it. They import the beans.
I know. I mean, most of our beans our coffee beans come from Latin America. So
maybe
are they being imported legally? Tariff free?
Well, I mean, no. Chris Pavlovsky, he's buddies with Trump Jr., so maybe. It's not what you know,
we have to look into that. I'm curious. I'd like to see. I don't know. But speaking of tariffs, here's this story. So Robbie and I, we are parents. Ted, also parent, college-age kid. Everybody on this show is a parent. So this is something that we're all too familiar with. So right now, we're coming up to the end of the school year, right?
Yep.
And while parents are thinking about, graduation and what to do over the summer, the corporations, the companies are already thinking about the fall. They're already thinking about back to school because they need to start getting their shipments in, putting in their orders and all of that. And all the tariffs are really, really screwing with that. Yep. So one of the main things, the Footwear Distributors and Retailers of America, that's a trade union, last week sent a letter to President Donald Trump urging the White House to consider tariff exemptions for footwear. 76 companies representing more than 80 brands co-signed. Shoe imports are already heavily levied, with rates on children's shoes of 20% or higher, and many U.S. footwear brands could pay import duties ranging from 150% to nearly 220% with the new duties in place, according to this trade group. With many orders on hold, they say footwear inventory for U.S. consumers may soon run low, warning that it could actually bring hundreds of businesses to the brink of closure, with implications for tens of thousands of jobs. And the footwear industry isn't alone in saying this, that the shelves might go bare. S&P Global Ratings analysts last week warned that these companies are particularly exposed even after they've already diversified their sourcing. One researcher said many apparel and footwear brands have moved production to countries in Southeast Asia, such as Bangladesh and Vietnam, in response to earlier tariffs and to diversify supply chains after the COVID-19 pandemic disruptions. And that was from a research note on May 1st. Inventory in the space has already been roiled, with some companies rushing in orders, others pausing or delaying shipments, says a guy from Nordstrom, a planning executive. He says a lot of things are on limbo. Consumers are poised to feel a much bigger pinch from tariffs at the back-to-school section, Halloween, and holidays. Several analysts telling this outlet Retail Drive that I read. In addition to the inventory volatility, too much and too little ripple effects from tariffs on these goods could include weakened demand and higher freight costs, according to that research group. So in the letter, the group says the new tariffs, in fact, remove business certainty that is needed to make these types of investments and erase all the necessary capital. So basically, these companies are saying, we really rely we really rely on the back to school and holiday season. And even though we're just about halfway through the school year, or the year rather, retailers have to plan that far in advance, because all this stuff is coming out from China, coming out from Vietnam or wherever, and it gets on a ship and it makes its way over here, and it takes a couple of months, and then distribution, it shows up at the port of Long Beach or whatever, and then it goes on a truck, it goes on a train, and gets dispersed all over the United States. That's usually the supply route. But all of that is being upended now. And as you know, Robbie, you remember it wasn't that long ago that your kids were my son's age, where something that fit him 2 weeks ago, like shoes, literally 2 weeks later, just his feet don't fit anymore. Just like that.
Yeah, my son's still that way. He's he's hit 15, and he's in a big old growth spurt now. And this whole thing with Trump with the tariffs, I think it's really stupid, because this would have made sense back in the 80s when we had industry to protect, but we don't have any right now. I mean,
we're competing with ourselves effectively. That's what it is.
Well, we're not even doing that. It's stupid, because here's the thing: if it's going to take a year or two to build these factories, get them all fired up,
a year or two, we're talking 3 to 5, based on all of the districting hurdles and shit like that. You got to get permits, and everything's backed up. I mean, we're talking 3 years at least to build a factory.
Just ban the EPA. That permit problem is solved then. I mean, just make it happen. So we can fast track this.
Oh my God.
But no, if Trump is serious about this, here's what people don't understand. And this is what I argue with Republicans about their orange Jesus, is that whatever Trump does right now with the stroke of a pen, his successor can undo. If Trump was smart about this, and I realize we're talking about Trump, so Trump and smart are not words that should ever really go together.
That's true.
What he should do is be leveraging Congress to pass laws to incentivize companies to start doing this. I mean, you can call it the American Industries Act, you can call it the Protectionist Act, call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Get Congress to codify these breaks. Codify into law. This is what the tariff is going to be. This is what the incentive is going to be if you build factories, like say in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, wherever, where there's a lot of poor people who would gladly love these jobs making shoes.
Sure.
Those companies will go in and then invest, and you have something in the books that gives you something in the way of stability, because a company is not going to upend their entire model.
Their operations. They have nothing to fall back on here in the United States.
No, you gotta give them some. You gotta give them some stability, and Congress can do that by passing laws.
I agree, and that's why I think Trump, if he was going to impose these measures, he should have set the warning on day one of his second term, and said by year 3, that last year I'm going out of office, you guys have better have your new factories built in Billings, Montana, or wherever the hell. Right? Like, you better have your factories built in Mississippi, because you got 3 years from right now, from today, to do it. Otherwise, we're imposing these tariffs.
But you have to get Congress to do it, though, to codify it. And here's how Trump could win the midterms. President Trump, I know you ain't listening, but maybe Don Jr. is. If you want to win, listen to me. Listen to me. Start pushing Congress. Go make the congressmen and the senators vote on it. Will you, Mr. or Mrs. Congressman, codify in law measures that incentivize companies to come and build factories and plants in economically depressed areas here in this country?
That's really what they need to do.
Because
expand jobs.
Because if he does that with the force of law, any congressman who votes against it would be cutting their own throat politically. Who's going to vote against bringing jobs to America from Vietnam or Taiwan? Nobody. Trump is doing this ass backwards. He's not a king.
I agree.
And he thinks he is. He should be leveraging Congress. And that's where the populists right and the left need to start putting pressure on your congressmen. Start getting them to start submitting bills. Codify these changes into law. Because whatever Trump does now, the next president can undo.
Turned over. It could be just unexecutive ordered.
Of course.
That's simple. Order canceled. Just like hitting Amazon's order, cancel order. That's all you got to do at this point. So you're right. So, but Robbie, none of these policymakers are really looking into that. Who knows not that they ever did too much voting or coming up with laws and bills, but with every passing congressional graduating class, right? There's less and less code making. There's less and less laws being passed with every passing generation of lawmakers that come through those doors. So I don't know what they do anymore because they pass so few laws and discuss so few things on the floor anymore. I don't even know what they're doing anymore other than making like TikTok videos like AOC.
They'll do anything.
Going on tour like Bernie
That's the problem.
and AOC.
That's the problem.
So
they do nothing. And that's why we need to clean houses. I agree. Until people realize that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are not your friend, they're actually your enemy, and start working to break that duopoly, it's never going to change.
Agreed. It's two wings on the same bird. Doesn't change anything. So here's this last and final story that I have mixed feelings about, Robbie, truly. I have mixed feelings about this. It's about childcare and lawmakers. Let me just get through this and I'll share my feelings about this. So
sure.
This is from the AP all the way down in Tallahassee, Florida, your home state, Robbie.
Yep.
So when Florida State Representative Fiona McFarland's infant daughter, Grace Melton, crawled for the first time, the mom of 4 was right next door, hard at work with her legislative policy staff at the state capitol. Thanks to the on-site childcare available in the State House, McFarland didn't miss that magical first milestone in her 7-month-old daughter's young life.
Oh.
She said, the sitter I had just grabbed me out of my meeting right next door, and I came over and I got to witness it, Ms. McFarland said. As more women and young people run for public office, they're bringing more than fresh policy ideas to the state houses. Some are bringing their kids. Like working parents across the country, some lawmakers are scrambling to find childcare that fits their often unpredictable schedules at a price that they can afford. Rushing back and forth from their districts, they juggle meetings with constituents and coordinate their children's drop-offs, power through late-night floor sessions, and step out to pump breast milk between votes, hoping to make it home for their kids' bedtime. Quote, looking back, I'm like, how did I do that? Michigan State Senator Stephanie Chang said, recalling those frenzied years when she was a new legislator and new mom. The Democrat used to race across the state with her baby and freezer bags of milk in tow, leaving her daughter with family members so she could make her 9 a.m. committee meeting at the state capitol in Lansing. In one of the few industrialized countries that lacks universal paid family leave, Chang says, America's child care crunch is keeping some parents from running for public office because they simply, quote, cannot make it all work, ultimately leaving young families with fewer advocates to help decide what we're doing for the future of our children. Some state capitals, which were mostly built before women could vote, that's true, still lack enough accessible bathrooms, advocates say, let alone spaces to comfortably change a baby's diaper or nurse an infant. Quote, legislators legislate based on their lived experience. I hate that term, said Liuba Gretchen Shirley, founder of the Vote Mama Foundation, which pushes to break barriers for moms what moms face for running for office. Quote, we have terrible policies that fail women and children across the country because we don't have enough moms serving at any level of government, she said. As of this year, 33% of state legislators were women, according to the Center for American Women in Politics at Rutgers University. Fewer than 8% of those lawmakers are moms of minor children, a Vote Mama analysis found. State houses childcare offerings largely lag behind other workplaces, but advocates say they're gaining some ground. The Virginia House of Delegates now gives a childcare stipend to members with young kids to help cover their expenses during session. At least 2/3 of states allow candidates of any gender running for public office to use campaign funds to pay for childcare expenses. That was something that was new to me. I did not know that. But 2/3 of states allow people running for office to use their campaign funds to go towards childcare. I feel like there's a racket that can be made there, but we'll talk about it.
It's bad.
Yeah. That part I don't think is very wise. But inside the echoing halls of Florida's Capitol, amid the chattering of lobbyists and the clicking of high heels, the voices of children like baby Grace can be heard as they play inside 2 on-site childcare spaces that were created just for the kids of legislators. McFarland, whose 4 children are ages 5 and under, let that sink in. This woman has 4 kids under the age of 5. So she was pregnant, boom, 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 for 6 years straight.
That's a good problem to have.
She was elected for the first time in 2020, the year she also gave birth to her first child. Since then, her public service has been fueled by, she says, caffeine and dry shampoo. On early mornings, I'm going to skip all that. And then, so basically they're saying this is a good first step, a good example for how you can get childcare happening in America. There are a lot of things I liked about this story. A lot of things that infuriate me.
It's childcare for me and not for thee. I mean,
that's exactly it.
That is what that is. So
childcare, so a part of me is like, okay, great. Maybe they're leading by example and then companies will follow, but that doesn't really happen. Look, I've been there. I went back to work because this whole damn country does not support women. It does not. First of all, we can't even get into the whole, like trans athlete, girls, college, all that stuff. Forget that. Put that aside for one moment. I would say that's part of not supporting young girls before they grow up to become, college educated working women, career women that you want us to be, you, this country, expect of us to be. But then when we get out into the working world, at least for our generation, Robbie, they have tried to convince us that we need to deny our nature, that it's bad to want to have a family, to want to get married, to want to have babies, to want, like if you feel it and you want to do it. Someone like me, I wanted to do those things, but I had no means to do that.
See,
right?
That's one of the reasons why I'm such a hawk and such a hard ass when it comes to immigration. I mean, these issues are all linked, and most people they don't understand that. Here's the thing: like in the article you're reading, so there's a shortage of women running for office. There's a shortage of moms in general, and it's all because of our economic model.
That's right. That's a whole argument in and of itself. But the whole fact that these certain state legislature offices have catered to the moms, a part of me thinks that's really great. But as you pointed out, it's childcare for me, but not for thee.
Yeah.
These people, if you like fuck showing off your example at your office. Fuck off, bitch. That's what I have to say, is
Agreed.
because if you really cared about me, your fucking constituent, then you would pass some laws in this state or in this country that would support moms. I mean, I'm beyond childbearing age-ish, more or less, at this point, but I remember what it was like 6.5 years ago. I went back to work. My kid was 10 weeks old. He was thankfully home with my mom, but I was pumping in between being on set, in between writing stories and doing interviews. They thankfully RT created me. I mean, God bless them. They made a lactation room just for me. Like they carved out, granted it was like a former little storage closet, but whatever. It
was
worked.
something.
It was something. I had privacy, like there.
Well, it's because Russia's a pro-family country. I mean,
there's part of that too, but they've done that too. I mean, we would have had to renegotiate what that meant, right? If I wanted to stay home. But the point is, the Russians offered me that opportunity.
Sure.
American companies do not do that. And so my point of saying fuck you to these legislator bitches is that if they actually cared about this very thing that they're touting, to say, look, we're leading, by example. We're getting legislative offices in Florida to do this. We're doing this in the Virginia State House. Great. I'm glad your ideas benefit you, but we put you in office to benefit us, to help us. What are you doing to put into law to codify having enforced childcare at either community childcare or at certain businesses that have, X amount of employees, then you have to put aside this much space. Like if you're at a big company, like let's say, I don't know, again, I'll bring up Tyson again, because they're obviously a big manufacturing plant. Workers are working, on an hourly basis at barely past minimum wage. You have hundreds of workers on site every single day, 24 hours a day, processing food. I'm sure those workers at the Tyson factory sure could use one of these mobile mini, trailers on the property with a nanny or two on site 24/7.
Yeah.
Could Tyson afford that? Abso-fucking-lutely. But here we have
But it's bigger than Tyson.
Women in this, but
it's bigger than Tyson. So
I know that. That's my point is these state house women are not pushing this. They're just showing, look, our example. And I get that a part of that is kind of good, but mostly it's like, no, fuck you. Do more. Step up and speak for the rest of the working moms out there. And maybe this would help us not barrel towards population collapse in the United States if you make America friendly to women who want to be mothers.
But you have to completely revamp the monetary system to make it happen. Like one of the things that Ron Paul famously said, and he pointed this out, and he was right. I mean, the dude lived it. He's like 300 years old. I mean, he was there. He saw it. No, back in the 50s,
like 91.
No, back in the 50s and 60s, you could have a guy working one job with a wife and a crap ton of kids who made $20,000 to $25,000 a year. Now, you've got to have both parents working. And if you're not bringing in about $150,000 minimum together, you're barely making it. It's about monetary policy.
There's a lot of things.
Our money's not worth anything. That's a huge part of the problem. And again, this all goes back to that whole America First mentality. Manila, while the borders are open and you can import the third world and you get instant tax cattle, and then you get free cheap votes because people are sucking off the welfare teat while you inflate the money supply, making the people on the top richer. It's never going to stop. It's never going to listen. It's never going to reverse itself. And until people I'm a righty. I am more than happy to reach across the aisle to a communist, to a socialist, to an anarchist. I do not care. If we can agree on a few basic things, let's make it where people can actually afford to have a family.
Sure.
Let's stop fighting all these stupid foreign wars. We can argue about the other stuff like gun control. You don't have pot. I don't I do not freaking care. But we've got to stop calling each other racists and all these other stupid names and come together where it really matters, because the people who are behind the immigration, the people who are behind all the endless wars, are the same people who are anti-family, who are trying to destroy the working class of this country. And until people get that through their heads, none of this is ever going to change. It's not the businesses, it's the government. The government needs to be broken.
I agree. And there are so many ways to tackle this baby care issue. I mean, if you look at major industrialized nations, like a comparable nation, France.
Mm-hmm.
France offers prolonged maternity leave. They have state-funded childcare. Look at other states or other countries in Europe, like the Dutch, for example. They have that. They have state-funded daycare centers, and they have free university. You can go to any college and they're all good. As long as you got good grades and can test in, you're good. You can go to college. So you, as a Dutch baby until becoming a Dutch adult, sure, you're paying high taxes, but you will get all of these social services and benefits. And people are generally happier and nicer to each other up there because they don't have to worry about it.
But they've outsourced their national security to the American taxpayer. I mean, you can have a welfare state that's incredibly generous, provided someone else is protecting you. I mean, that is the European model.
Wait, that's not our fault. That's not their fault.
The hell it's not. Of course it is.
We overspend on our own military. That's America's problem. We choose that, and we keep allowing our lawmakers to prioritize the DoD over working families.
Of course, but their politicians, I mean, it's two sides of the same coin, right? Because they get to say, look how good your life is. You have all these perks, you have all these benefits, you have free education, free health care, 3 hots and a cot, you get yourself a house. And meanwhile, your army is 30,000 people. Why is that? It's because those Americans are over there subsidizing you.
But they also have a much smaller population than us, Robbie. So, running at a 1% rate of their population, that's consistent with what the United States is. 1% of our population is in the military. So it's consistent.
Okay, so what you're telling me then is that all of NATO in its entirety, minus the United States, can go toe-to-toe with Russia. The answer is no.
No.
That's my point. So if you are the leadership of a nation state, you should be responsible for your own defense. And that means that you cannot, because you don't have so much resources that's out there. No, demand is infinite, supply is finite. So that's why they're able to do all this stuff.
The whole existence of NATO, but that's a different argument. I know they're intertwined in a way, but
it's not in every way. If they had to pay for their own Manila, if Europe had to pay for its own defense, they couldn't afford these social programs.
Well, they had this. Well, no, you're probably right, because NATO has been around for basically the whole back half of the 20th century. So I mean, I don't know about the Dutch, because I'm thinking of this in terms of what my Dutch friend told me, and I feel like they had some of this in place before World War II, anyways. But they had a good functioning socialist model in terms of child welfare.
Sure.
And I feel like that is an area of socialism that I think most people in the United States, not even just moms, I would say most people can get behind, because, everybody at some point was a small child that needed caring for. So I feel like everybody could get behind that notion. And the idea of free college education, provided you earn your way into that slot, right? I think a lot of people could benefit from what the Dutch have done in the way of childcare, state-sponsored childcare, and
tell you what, close the borders. Close the borders are right there with you.
If we had more educated, here's the thing: if people are like, "Oh, we have too many people, too many uneducated, low income women making too many babies. Well, part of how you fix that is they actually give them more opportunities, give them more education. They're less likely to have a lot of babies. I mean, I have one. So
That or
usually they
maybe
say,
that could fix the cost of living. So you could get married to a guy. He could work. You could stay and be a housewife. I mean,
right,
how
there are
much
a
more
lot of things
happy?
that can be done.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a one size fits all solution. I mean, but until we fix our monetary situation, it's never going to change.
A lot of these things are inextricably intertwined. And as we wind this down, I just want to say, like, I think a lot of people, a lot of women want these things. And I want to say to them, I don't think most of our audience are young childbearing age women. However, if this happens to fall on their ears, I was once one of you. I was once a 20-something, college-educated, world-traveled, entrepreneurial spirit, go-getter, get my career. And I felt shame about having these glinting feelings of, oh, I think I want to be a mom. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. I need my career. I need to do this, and I got to do this. I got to accomplish this. And I kept suppressing those feelings. I would tell young women that, yes, you can have both, that you don't need to keep fooling yourself into thinking, I'll wait. It's fine. I'll wait.
If you could go back in time, like say the last 15 years, what would you have done different? I mean, would you have had more kids? Would you have invested more time being a mom?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, I married who I married when I married, right? I thought about marriage before, but not, it didn't feel like this when I met my husband.
Yeah.
Which now I know, with age behind me and looking back, what that feeling meant, right? I've entertained the idea of marrying other people, but when I compare it to how I felt when I met my husband, it was different. So, for me, I feel like God made it happen when it happened for a reason. And so that's where my area of faith comes in. But I don't think I would have made too many. I'm not somebody that lives with regrets. And I think the only thing I think I would have done differently for myself that I had any control over was to not beat myself up as a young woman about fighting my natural inclination to want to even say that I want to be a wife, to even say that I wanted to be a mom, because where I'm from, it was almost like an embarrassment if you want to say that as a woman, right? It's almost like
is motherhood shame?
Oh, you're giving into the patriarchy. Yes. There was shame in that. I
bet you that
be a wife and mom.
And I bet you a lot of those same people would say, who are shaming you about wanting to be a mom. I bet you all those people have been the same one who cheered you if you had an abortion. It's a death cult. I bet you not all of them, but I bet you a lot of them would have been. And
I don't know. I never had one, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's just my wife and I, when we got married, gosh, we're coming up on our 19th wedding anniversary. Just thought about that. Yeah, she got pregnant with our daughter maybe 2 months after we had got married.
Well, it was the same.
And so then we got our son, and her mom, my mother-in-law, she's just like, why are you having so many kids? And I told her, listen, I said, if I could have, I'd like to have 10 of them. I would love to have big, but I mean, my wife though, I mean, physically, she couldn't do it. She got sick after our son got born. So she had to get fixed. But if we were able to, we've been firing them out like a puppy a year.
So like this lady in the story.
Yeah.
5 years, 4 babies.
Yeah,
she's
and she's
just been pregnant for 6 years straight.
No, and she was just
that's not. I think not what I want.
Yeah. Then my mother-in-law was like, well, how would you pay for it? I said, by making sacrifices. You work hard, you make sure you prioritize what's important to you. And that's from the lower end. of the economic spectrum. I can only imagine what the pressure is for the professionals. You talk about how you got to have the career first, and you have everything all lined up.
You got to have everything lined up and just so and just right. I mean, that was the joke at the beginning of the movie Idiocracy, right? Is the couple that's like highly educated. I think the characters might have been lawyers or something. I don't know if they actually disclosed, but they're, like upper crust, white collar, white folks that were like, oh, let's try to have a baby. Oh, let's schedule it. Oh, well, this isn't a good time for me. Oh, well, and then,
it's
you
never
see
a good
them
time.
age, and it's never a good time. And that was where I fell into.
Yeah.
But a part of it is if you wanted to influence young women to not stave off those impulses, those natural impulses of wanting to be a mom, make it less shameful, help us do that. Because if there was a way that I could pick up my life as is and reverse the timeline a little bit to where I would have met my husband when I was a little bit younger and had a few more viable, healthy eggs in there. In the store.
Let's say if you made them like 15 years ago. I mean, that would have been
right. If in theory I could pick up my life and scoot it backwards, like even 5 years before when it actually happened, I would have loved to have been in the position to be 5 years younger and maybe had another 1 to 2. I think I would max out at 3, but 2 would have been good, 2 to 3 tops.
Yeah.
But
I have 8 brothers and sisters.
Supports that. I know you come from a ginormous family, but my mom was from a big family. My dad was from a big family. I have a big family on either side of me, but within my generation, me and my cousins were like my siblings, my cousins were not many kids because it's just impossible. It's financially difficult and impossible for the lives that we've chosen. And if the state, if Elon Musk says that this is something he cares about, then he needs to take note of those stories. If he's worried about this baby bust, truly, which I don't think he is, I think it's a narcissistic, weird thing that he's doing to make 20,000 babies of his own, like Jeffrey Epstein did, or was trying to do. I don't think he actually cares about the population bust. I think he cares about this narcissistic, like, I'm going to reproduce, spread my seed as far and wide as I can.
He's a eugenist.
Right.
The dude's a creep. The dude's a creep.
it's like Jeffrey Epstein. That's the whole thing, right? So I don't think he actually cares about the birth rate bust in the United States. I don't think that's genuine. I don't think that's true. I think he cares about his own seed. But take note. So anyway, we better wrap up because we've gone as long as our normal show, Robbie. Do we have another ad we have to read from a sponsor?
I didn't see one. Let me go and double check real quick. I don't think so.
I don't want to miss our opportunities.
No, but it looks like we just got the one. And this time is my fault because you decided you're going to pick all of the topics that I'm passionate about. So
I did. Well, yeah, that's true.
You 100% did. I mean, you're hitting the trifecta, both borders, birth rates. I mean, you're just kind of going all over.
Babies, families, both borders.
I mean, no, listen.
Today was Tariff Tuesday.
In a perfect
Carney,
world,
as you say, is in town.
In a perfect world, I'd fix our economic model and I would take away the stigma with women being moms. There's nothing more beautiful in this world than a brand new baby.
I know that now. It took me almost 40 years to understand that. I used to hear that term and I'm definitely not one of these like, oh, my belly is a vessel, a magical vessel of life. I am not one of those women, but once you meet that little human that you created, that this little life that truly is a miracle, you're just like, holy shit. Like that of all the things that of all the near misses that could have happened, this happened. And you're kind of like, shit, wow.
Yeah.
And it just, your whole world changes. And I think it probably was the best moment of my life, was the moment I met my kid, right? Like, I mean, all the great moments leading up to it and some fun times leading up to getting the kid. But when you meet the kid, it's just a different thing. And And I think I was duped into, for much of my life, denying the course of nature and denying these natural instincts because of where I was raised in Los Angeles, and to say, I don't need a husband. I don't need kids. I don't need any of those things. I just need my career. I just need to own properties and have nice cars and, just buy. I need my Chanel sunglasses. I need my Land Rover. And I had all of those things.
And then whenever you're old
and
and you're laying in your bed and you're waiting for the Grim Reaper to come and take you, you look around and what do you have? What legacy do you have?
My Chanel sunglasses and old Range Rover.
One thing, we'll go out on this. One thing I tell my kids, like, I have a son and a daughter. My son's 15, my daughter's 17. And I practice what I preach. I tell them what the most important thing to me is that you marry yourself a good person. My daughter, I told her, you be a good mama. You have as many babies as you want. Marry a good man who's going to take care of you. And to my son, I say, you marry yourself a good woman who's going to love you. They'll take your last name. And you have a crap ton of babies, and you worked your butt off, and you take care of your family. You be a man, and you bring honor to your family name. That's it.
And
you do that, you've won. That's all you need.
I will tell you, that is not the prevailing message in coastal, especially the West Coast, coastal cities like Los Angeles and New York, where Ted is. Those are not the messages that are being given. It's not the orthodoxy. It's not the thinking in those big cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York City. That is not the message that's told to little girls and little boys.
Look at the mess that they're in. Look at the messes that those places are.
I know.
So who's backwards? Is the redneck in Montana, or maybe I'm on to something? Love God, love your family, make babies.
It has been eye-opening after my life changed, after getting married and having a kid, and my husband, well, my husband, and he still jokes that he managed to rope me because I was like a wild mare. And it's true. I needed some breaking in. And, before I was, trying to buck people off and like run back into the wild, because that's who I was. That's part of my nature and part of the orthodoxy that is growing up in Los Angeles, in a major metropolitan city. And that's what they teach little girls, is that you don't need a man. If you want to have a baby, you can have your own baby. Just go to the sperm bank. You just go. And that didn't feel right to me either. And believe me, I thought about it.
No.
When I felt that I wanted to be a mother, and I thought about those things, and that didn't feel right either. And then I thought, what about, let's say I did do that, bring a baby into the world on my own, fatherless. Where am I putting this kid when I go to work? Like, what do I do? And go back to this topical discussion, right? Is the United States does not truly support women in any which way. And especially under Joe Biden, he really did not support women in any which way, because he took away scholarships that belong to us by giving it to the patriarchy, by giving it to men dressing up in girls' school clothes so they can take our scholarships and sports scholarships. And so,
our country is very anti-family.
Nobody, right. And that's why I'm saying I'm a little bit shading on the women in that AP article about.
I'm a lot shading on them, because what they're saying is they're saying, I'm able to do these things. These peasants that work for me, they can't. I'm so much better than you. I'm more important than you. I get these perks. Yeah,
and I get to use my campaign money to pay for childcare.
Yeah, then whenever you get into government, especially in the federal government, instead of actually doing things to actually address the issues that we're talking about, it's 100% a grift.
They're all grifters. If they actually cared about doing squat, they wouldn't just be showing the AP around their childcare facility next door to their office at the state legislature. They would actually be trying to pass bills in their home state, so that way there are childcare centers for us plebes out here that need the childcare, so we too can earn a living for our families. But we don't all get campaign donations, Robbie. So
No.
there's that.
No,
Anyway,
no, we get
we're
no, we
gonna
get
leave that
taxed.
there. I'm the angry mom right here, Manila Chan. Producer Robbie in for Ted Rall. Ted's gone all week. I think Ted said he'll be back Monday, right?
Monday or Tuesday, I don't know. I'll follow up with him.
So, yeah, something like that. Ted is gone. We'll be back. He'll be back next week. So it's just me and Robbie holding down the fort. We are bringing Mark Sloboda in, so we'll be able to share a snippet of that, and the rest of Mark Sloboda will go for the premium content as part of our new official status as a Rumble premium content creator. So there you are. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks,
We went
y'all.
as long as our normal talk time, Robbie. We get too passionate about this.
Well, that was
stuff.
your fault. Well, like I said, I mean, you decided
I'm
you're just going to load it all up. Well, no,
I didn't think about it.
Well, people on Rumble, they know me, and now a lot of people on YouTube know me. And I promise y'all, I'm really not a dick. I'm actually a pretty nice guy.
He's actually a really nice person.
It's just I know what I believe. I'm able to try and back it up with facts, and just I get so sick and tired of watching my country get destroyed by the people who we elect to run it, and I'm sick of it. And so that's what America First means to me. It's a reboot. America First.
So this week, you guys will hear a lot of that happening right there, because there's no Ted to pull Robbie back in line.
It's your job.
I'm trying, but holy moly, your wife. All right, guys, that'll do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys for being here.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Adios, amigos. Bye.